can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the same. And right now, I feel like 100 grand.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Wise.
Dr. Jeremy Weiss here, founder of InspiredInsider.com, where I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs and leaders. Today is no different. I have Julie Olson. You can check them out at turnerlee.com. And Julie, before I formally introduce you, I always like to point out other episodes of the podcast people should check out. Since this is part of the Top Agency series, there was a really good one with Todd Taskey. Todd Taskey helps pair agencies with private equity. He's got the Second Bite podcast. He helps sell agencies. So he calls it the Second Bite podcast because sometimes when they sell and the private equity sells again, sometimes the founder makes more on the second bite than they did on the first when they first sold. So there is a really good episode about valuation space, the agency space, and businesses, M&A. That was a really good one. Another good one was Adee Clevitt. Adee Clevitt has a company. She is a done-for-you company that helps companies create SOPs. They go in, they help with client onboarding, they can help with staff onboarding, and they will help document all of your SOPs, put them into a portal so that they can be accessed. So we're going to be talking about streamlining operations on this interview. That was really good. We geeked out about our favorite productivity tools and, just our favorite software and everything like that. You can check those out on inspiredinsider.com. This episode is brought to you by Rise25. Rise25, we help businesses give to and connect to their dream relationships and partnerships. How do we do that? We do that by helping you run your podcast. We're an easy button for a company to launch and run a podcast. And we do the strategy, the accountability, and the full execution. So Julie, we call ourselves the magic elves that run in the background and make it look easy for the hosts so they can create amazing content, create amazing relationships, most importantly, run their business. For me, the number one thing in my life is relationships. I'm always looking at ways to give to my best relationships, and I found no better way over the past decade to profile the people and the companies I most admire and share with the world what they're working on. So if you've thought about podcasting, you should. If you have questions, you can go to rise25.com or email us at support@rise25.com. I'm excited to introduce Julie Olson. She is a CEO and owner of Turner Lee Consulting Design. They are a full-service design agency specializing in brand development, customer research, package design, as well as print services. They've been helping companies for over 26 years, developing efficient and successful design. They work on anything from logos to website to handling production, and they print for thousands of products worldwide. They worked with companies such as HP, the Golden State Warriors, and many more over the years. And their TLC design to print processes help companies avoid pitfalls of print and streamline and provide a transparent design collaboration. And ultimately, that helps save time and money. Julie, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me. That was perfect description.
Awesome. And I want to start off with, and we'll dig into a little bit of the things you did for HP and the Golden State Warriors, but just talk about Turner Lee for a second and what you do.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Well, in my early stages of work, I worked with a lot of large agencies in California and the Bay Area. And that's how I got my start, and actually worked for different companies that helped me understand the process better. So, for example, market research innovation. So one of my first jobs was in market research and sensory evaluation with products that we all know and use every day, everything from Sara Lee to Quaker to Kraft and Budweiser. I was the official taste tester for the Budweiser sensory testing. It was a great learning experience. And then I got
How's
to
your liver?
Pretty good
From that, okay.
right now. It was very insightful and helped me develop my love and understanding of how packaging and products are married and work better together. And then from there, working with a lot of large agencies and understanding the agency world. And I decided that I wanted to start my own agency 26 years ago. And we wanted to be different in a way that we could be more effective working with our customers. And that meant that I created one of the first virtual agencies. They all told me I was going to fail and that you needed a fancy address with fancy leather couches and fancy artwork. But I said, no, it's not the way I'm going to roll. So I spent my time actually in our clients' offices, understanding their process and the way they work and what struggles they were having to better understand how we could provide a full suite of integrated services with them.
So we're talking at that point, people now are listening like, yeah, of course, virtual, but back in 1998, that was not normal at all.
Not normal.
I don't even know what was the internet like at that point. And because I'm sure design has changed a little bit of the way you go about generating ideas and things like that too.
It was a very different world. It was a lot more, in the office, creative collaboration with teams, which took a very long time. And you were in basically a bubble in your office instead of where you should be with your clients, understanding their products and some of the hurdles that they were facing. So from that point, I realized that when we would create creative pitches or packaging designs, or even, print advertising, sometimes we were way off the mark of what our customers wanted. And to me, that was just a huge waste of time and waste of money. So that was the opening, door and idea in my brain that if we spent more time understanding the clients and their product and their packaging needs or campaign needs, that we were better able to hit the mark faster and right on.
What did you learn, Julie, early on? You said you did taste testing and stuff with Budweiser and some of these big companies. What was an instance you remember about maybe the feedback that you gave or had, or the collaboration of the feedback that was happening around the table?
It was really brilliant scientific models that we would do, qualitative and quantitative testing with large focus groups, and then our own testing too. And the biggest thing I learned is that combined with the quantitative and qualitative, you can come up with the best product outcome. Like, for example, we tested a lot of salad dressings, and yeah, you'd have a great salad dressing, but the way that the bottle was and the shape and the opening or the orifice of the salad dressing, it would just pour, all over your salad. So, and then as a result, people would have a negative connotation, because I learned that if you really address all the sensory aspects of a product and its packaging and how they work together, you can have a better outcome from your consumers, and therefore they'll love the product better. So that was my big takeaway.
Talk about your first client. You strike out on your own. It's a risk, right? Yeah. You could have kept working with these big companies under, another, I don't know, less risk working for someone. Talk about how'd you get your first client?
That's a great question. Excuse me. My neighbor in California worked for one of the largest corrugated manufacturing plants. So he sold cardboard. We were having a glass of wine one night, and he said, I'm just so sick of these agencies that don't know print and don't know what they're printing on, the substrate material. I just wish there was a way that there was an agency that knew what they were doing, that by the time they designed something, it would actually work on print. And so I was like, what a great idea. Why don't I go in and train your sales team on what to look for with production artwork, and how I can maybe train the agencies or train your client, HP in this case, how to bridge that gap, because there was an enormous amount of waste in money and time and design. And that's very ineffective for our clients. So I basically immersed myself in the print industry, learned how to print the most effectively on corrugated material and the flexo presses, and the litho presses, and went to Hewlett-Packard and pitched them and said, I think I can do it better because I understand. And I said, if I can just have one, I guarantee you.
One product.
One product, one package. And I guarantee you that I'll be at least 50, if not 75% less cost, and increase your time to market at least 50%. And I did. And that one package started with another and another. And today, after 26 years of having that customer, that client, we've created hundreds and thousands of packaging all over the world.
What was the original product? Do you remember?
The original product was a large monitor in a cardboard box. And when you print that large, sometimes you don't have a real clear design that can print on Flexo, which is like a big rubber stamp. And so we created an opportunity to have more flashy design on a litho label, which we then stuck to the corrugated box. So you had a better experience on shelf.
So what was the issue? Was the issue wasn't coming out right the first time and they have to keep printing them? There's a lot of waste?
A ton of waste. Not only in materials, but time and money. So a lot of times agencies didn't understand the die line, which is almost like a map of how you cut out that box and the exact measurements of it. So if you don't have that right when you're designing the artwork and it goes to press, you have to throw it all away.
Talk about the evolution of hiring, right? So at that point, it's just you. Mm-hmm. What were some of the important positions you put in place over time?
Definitely designers. So instead of having a lot of high-end management, I really developed expert designers who also then became my team. So there's not a lot of middle management. There's just people who are experts at design and experts in understanding the print process and what we're printing on and how to get the best results and the best process. Process is really key as well. And so from that, we've actually designed some of our own systems. So where we're able to, because back in the day, it was really difficult to review and approve artwork. You know, you're doing it by email and then somebody doesn't see it because they're behind on email and we've already sent out version 3. So we did a lot of research and ended up developing our own tools for transparency and increased productivity so people can review and approve the artwork and just keep things flowing.
And then, so the next ones were designers. And then what about after that? What were other important positions?
Oh, gosh. We have developed experts in terms of reviewing content and every single detail that goes on a package because we're moving so quickly and we're taking the content and copy from what we're provided. And then we have to send that through translations and get it translated in hundreds of languages. We need to have somebody who can spot something that somebody on the team may have missed. So those are really big eye catchers, if you will.
What are some of I'm curious with the first client, how do you decide, Julie, how much to charge? Right? This is like, you're learning this. You're basically saying, I'll help with this. And you're learning it. It's HP, you're on your own. You're like, I'm thinking at the time, like, I want this client because it's a great start to a company.
Yeah.
How'd you decide to charge?
Well, that's a great question. Well, because I was in the industry and I knew some of the agencies, and I asked the question, how much were they charging per package? And it was unbelievably expensive. And I knew with my team and my expertise that if they even gave me one chance at a cost that they could not refuse, that I would earn the business. So I went back and determined how long it would take us, what we had to do, how many options we would give them. And part of our strategy is we owe on a new design basically for new designs or new concepts, we always give a minimum of 3 different options, if not 5, because we listen to them intently and we say, okay, what is, we understand the sanctity of the brand, but we also understand that we need to push the envelope a little bit in terms of design and creativity. So we have one of exactly what they want, one of us pushing the limits, and then we have one in the middle design. 9 times out of 10, they'll choose either the middle or the high end one. And that just helps us, better understand what they need and help us keep them on the cutting edge of things. So putting all of that into the equation, I knew exactly how much I could charge to start with. And then as we ramped up the number of products, then I was able to pass on some cost savings because of the number and the volume of products that we were giving them. And so when you're dealing with a large company like that and you're dealing with procurement, who's always wanting you to reduce your costs, we were able to find a really good fit for each other.
I'm curious because, you help these companies streamline and be more efficient, and you're streamlining and being efficient. What are some of the software tools or processes that are important for you as a company that you employ to make sure that that happens, that other people should be doing?
That's a great question. We researched for a very long time of different companies who did review and approval for artwork. Probably 15 years ago, I want to say, roughly, we landed on a company called Proof HQ, which was then later bought by Adobe. So it's Adobe owned right now, but it's an excellent tool that provides full transparency across all the teams. It saves all the artwork, but it captures everybody's comments. And, the main approver of the team has full access of what everybody's comments are, and that person ends up being able to approve each and every one of those. So when you're doing hundreds of products a day, you have to be able to track everybody's comments and who has approved what to be able to meet the timeline. So we used that one for a very long time, which is a great tool that HP still uses. But we also have designed our own tools as well, based on our own needs as an agency, and aspects of those tools that we weren't able to get. So we created our own, which allows us to provide some of our mid to smaller size clients. It provides basically a portal that has all of their assets on there, because as an agency, they would call us and be like, do you have that one logo, or do you have that one package? And then we'd be spending so much time looking for it. So this allows for us to have all of their assets in one place, and all of the past work and any new campaign ideas all together in one place for them, plus a review and approval tool. Also includes all of their estimates, invoices, and billing all in one tool. So we just actually finished that this year. It took us 5 years to make.
So basically, it's this client portal that allows you to communicate much easier and more efficiently with the client, kind of asynchronously, so nothing's lost.
Correct.
Cool.
And it saves us time having to search through hundreds of files, because they have full access to it, so they can find whatever they need, and that frees up even minutes of our time. And when you think of minutes to us, that means a lot of money.
100%. So I can see you start the company, you get HP, huge milestone. What was the next major milestone looking back?
Gosh, for me personally, it was being able to work with the Golden State Warriors, and being able to visit their headquarters, to be able to meet their executive team and some of the players. It was just one of those dream clients.
Who'd you get to meet?
Oh gosh. Steph Curry, I waved at and said hello, Dream on Green. But it was fun. I didn't want to make too big of a deal out of it, but I was starstruck for sure.
What kind of work did you do for them?
We did some creative work in terms of the Make It Rain customized posters we did for promotional events. We did design the executive staff's business cards and kind of a new level of look for them, and then also customized cards, business cards, and trading cards for the players.
Very cool.
And I also did all the T-shirts for their different events, and that was really fun to do.
How did that come about to work with the Golden State Warriors?
It's networking, which I love, and what you love as well. And being in the Bay Area, I had the pure blessing of raising my son there, who I named the company after him when he was born. He was a week old. I started my company. So the name Turner Lee is actually his name. And, raising your kids in the Bay Area, you get to know a lot of the parents and, I was able to meet a mom and a dear friend of mine who was the controller at the Golden State Warriors. And so she brought me in, and the rest was history.
I love it. And if you're listening, there is a video component, and we are on the Turner Lee website, and you can kind of see here some of the cool stuff you've done as far as, all types of companies, but specifically there's some sports ones here, healthcare. Let's check out this one. I like this logo here as well. Oh, here's the Golden State Warriors. Here's the Golden State Warriors one.
I forgot we did that. That was cool.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. And then that's a big milestone as well. And then how long were you in San Francisco for? Because obviously I know that you're not in San Francisco anymore.
Yes, I was there for probably 20 plus years. Yeah.
And then what caused you to move?
Well, I'm originally from South Dakota. And so when I moved out to the Bay Area, it was a bit of a culture shock. And I can't believe I landed some of the jobs I landed. But it was based on my, I think, upbringing here in South Dakota and great work ethic that helped me earn those jobs. So the reason why I left was Hewlett-Packard moved the packaging division to Colorado. And I had always been, over the years, I had already trained the worldwide packaging managers for HP. And they said, well, we're moving, the packaging division to Fort Collins. Oh, by the way, we need you to be there. So I moved. So I was in Colorado for 4 years, and, being so close to home in the Black Hills and my family, I just kept finding myself always going back home. And so right before COVID, I ended up moving back home, which was a great move for me. And since we have a virtual agency, I can live anywhere, and it worked out perfectly.
Julie, who are some of your mentors in business over the years?
I would say, gosh, a lot of my clients who have become friends over the years, with a 26-year relationship with HP, I've had a lot of the managers that I've worked with there who have since retired, but we're still friends. They were great mentors. The friend that I mentioned at the Golden State Warriors, and other agency owners, but in the scientific world of the sensory evaluation, those were great mentors. Understanding the industry so well and helped me form my love and appreciation for products and packaging and the symbiotic relationship that they have.
What's a piece of advice that sticks out with any of the people, whether it's from people at HP you worked with or through the research?
I think having a good plan that you understand their process and you try to help them determine how you can continuously making it better for them, to always keep learning, no matter what. After you think you know it all, you don't. So I think always keep learning, always keep striving to find a way to be better.
I know one of the things you do is you are an adjunct professor at the university, and one of the things you teach is helping students learn the art of personal selling. All right. Talk about what you mean by personal selling.
Well, it was interesting. After I kept coming back to South Dakota, and it's actually Black Hills State University is my alma mater. And so I love Black Hills State University. And I got a business degree, a marketing, and a tourism degree from there. And I always wanted to give back. So they had me speak a couple of times, and then they said, well, we'd really like you to teach the students about what you do and how you've, used your education to become successful. And so they had this class. They said, we want you to teach a selling class, because you're always selling, no matter, every single day of your life, you're selling yourself or your business or your ideas. So there was no curriculum, and I got to do whatever I wanted, but I decided that one of the things that I was lacking from my education was the opportunity to see businesses, to walk into a business, to meet a business owner, and to network. And so I made my students go through a Julie's training of how you interact with someone and how you meet them and what questions to ask and how you represent yourself. So they had to create their own business cards, be able to shake somebody's hand correctly, look them in the eye, which is hard for students. They don't even really know how to do that too well. But I ended up taking them to 37 different businesses in the Black Hills. And we had the opportunity for them to ask questions. How'd you start your business? How'd you come up with the idea? How'd you create your logo? What were some of the biggest challenges? And then if there were holes in our schedule, I would fill it up with people like, my clients and my contacts from Hewlett-Packard, Apple, Amazon, the Warriors, and they're like, there is no way you have these clients and these people. And I said, well, it's true. And they were so excited about this class and what they'd been learning, and their confidence was so great. And it was also an entrepreneurial based class. And they said, well, we want to go. We want to go to the Bay Area. We want to see it because we don't believe it. We don't believe that you little country bumpkin left Spearfish, South Dakota, and went to the Bay Area and had all this success. So I said, all right. They challenged me, so I challenged them back and said, if you guys develop a business plan and make it compelling and you raise the money, I'll take you for a week to the Bay Area. Lo and behold, it was such a success. We raised more money than what we ever dreamed of. I took them to the Bay Area for a week. We all had to have uniforms. We dressed the same, every day. We had a schedule. We got to see some of the things that they'll never, would have ever been able to see to inspire them. We went to the Hewlett-Packard Innovation Center. We went to the brand new Apple Center that wasn't even open yet. I took them to Hamilton. I took them to courtside game of the Warriors and inside of the private Chase Lounge, where they got to meet Guy Fieri and some of the players courtside, to the oldest hotel in San Francisco, to some wineries that were my clients, and a yacht tour under the Bay Bridge and under the Golden Gate Bridge and back. And I think that was a gift that they will never forget, and inspired them that they can become whatever they want. Some of them are on their third business that they've created already. I believe it was 2 years ago. So they're doing awesome.
That's amazing. What was the original business? Like they came up with a business and they raised money. Was it like a collective business that they all...
I made them develop a business plan that the kids were going to San Francisco, and this was part of their unique learning experience that they would never have again. We went to all these businesses in the Black Hills, and now they wanted to be able to see real life big business. Because I think when you can see it and you can experience it, it's not a scary thing. It becomes something that you can achieve. And all these beautiful, wonderful people of my network that I know were so supportive of them and so kind and so generous. And that left a lasting impact on their lives.
That's an amazing experience. They're wow. The next class wants to do that again, so you have to
They
replicate.
do, and I'm like, I don't know that I can
You
replicate.
can't top that. Julie, talk about some of the challenges. From the get-go, it seems like you landed HP. You've had some big clients. I'm sure there's also been challenges along the way.
Yeah, there's always challenges. But for me, that kind of spurred me on a little bit. One of the challenges was because we were moving so quickly, how do we get people from all different ends of the world who are working on these packaging projects? And the time challenge, how do we get them to approve it in the speed that we were working? So that's why we found one of these tools that helped us with the track all of the different versions, because like I said, some people were looking at version 2 when we were already on version 6. And then so we'd have to go back and implement their changes because they were late. And so that helped us be exponentially more productive. So that was a big challenge that we solved, creating our own tool for the portal for our clients so they could have access to all of their materials at 24/7. A lot of agencies don't like to do that. They don't like to give away what they created. And we say, here it is. It's all of it. You can even have another agency come in and get the files that they need. I mean, we are that collaborative and that transparent. And I think that builds a lot of trust and dependability that helps you keep those customers for years and years and years, and even decades in my case.
I want to hear your thoughts around niching. Like when I first hear the HP, I'm thinking, okay, I could see them just going down different packaged goods, electronics.
Mm-hmm.
But you've kind of went there, and then also sports teams, and then we'll talk about, Epic 4 too.
Mm-hmm.
But talk about your thoughts around niching for an agency.
Gosh, we were blessed enough to land HP, and I think the electronics world, we actually helped, I think, them grow and expand too. I mean, it was just first, monitors and PCs and notebooks, and then slowly started to expand. I think because the packaging was so streamlined and efficient, we were able then to expand the whole line of mice and keyboards and headsets, and then into gaming and soft goods, and so I think through that collaborative effort, there wasn't this barrier of, oh gosh, the headache of packaging. They were able to really focus on just expanding the products, and we'd figure out the packaging part. So, yeah, from that standpoint, it was a great niche for us there in electronics, but also for us to realize that our niche as an agency really was understanding packaging and whatever, box or substrate material or bottle that had to be in to make that product shine. That was our goal.
At that point, I'm just wondering, were you thinking, oh, okay, we should just go after more electronics companies, or, as far as you defining, obviously you have like kind of a niche process, but what about from like a client perspective?
We didn't plan to just be in one particular market or niche. It was a lot of word of mouth through our networking. That was like, for example, a funny one is my VP of design lived in Colorado, became really good friends with Todd Hilton. And for his 40th birthday, he actually gave Craig, my VP of design, assigned first base, which was pretty epically cool. And then he was like, hey, I'm starting this company called Lone Star, and we want to build and manufacture emergency equipment like fire trucks and ambulances and things like that. And so we helped him launch that company. And we didn't anticipate being in that company or that industry either. But it's just, I think we're so well equipped to work with any industry or any particular client because we've really honed in on the process of how we work with our clients and how we can help them from whatever it's like. In their case, we had to wrap fire trucks and make them look cool and help them with their whole website and all their sales materials that we created in a streamlined process where the salespeople could order any brochure or catalog that they needed on demand through our print partners who printed just digitally. So you're not printing a whole ton of waste. You're printing what you need, and it's all customized for that sales rep. So understanding their needs and finding the best and most effective way that we can deliver it to them, I think has just been those types of success stories that help us land new clients.
So how'd you balance parenthood with business? Because at this point, like you said, the company's named after your son. Talk about that.
Gosh, that's also a great question. Well, I was lucky enough to work from home, and that's really the reason why I created the virtual agency. And Turner was literally, a 1.5-week-old baby when I started. And so I just got one of those little baby Bjorn things and strapped him on and went to work. And then he got too big for that and had to go on my back. And it allowed me those hours to literally work almost 24/7. So
because he was keeping you up.
Yeah. But that's also the way that I designed my agency, was that there would be shifts in teams where if we were monitoring what was happening, in different parts of the world, we had somebody working on it 24/7, which I think also set us apart. We didn't shut the lights off at 5. We were 24/7 operation. So yeah, it was challenging, but really funny, actually. By the time Turner was probably, I'd say 9, and we were in one of the prototype Safeway stores in Danville, which was pretty posh, prototype store for them. And we were getting ready to go to a baseball practice or a game. I can't remember which, but I have a baseball hat on and pigtails, and he's in his thing, and he said, "No, Mommy, you can only buy 2 things because we're in a hurry." And so there was a big agency there in the spaghetti aisle that was, they had their clients there, and they were looking at the new product labels on the shelf. And so I'm standing there kind of listening, and Turner said, "Mommy, come on, what are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm eavesdropping. Give me a minute." And he said, "Mommy, what's eavesdropping? And what are you doing?" And so then I was so embarrassed, and I said, "Look, I'm sorry, I am eavesdropping, but this is what I do, my line of work." And so Turner goes over to this group of 6 or 7 people in the agency world and says, "Let me just help you. You have no product differentiation, and you need a violating label to identify what these flavors are. Okay, let's go."
That's what he said.
Yeah, that's what he said to them. And they were just flabbergasted. They said, "How do you know these words?" And I didn't know that he'd picked up on all those years of listening to me and what I was doing, but it was a funny moment. So kids kids pick up what you do.
Osmosis. I
Yeah.
love it. That's great. What kind of work, and it's interesting because you've gone across different industries, right? We mentioned, sports, you mentioned electronics, and then talk about Epic 4.
Epic 4 is a new group of orthodontic specialists that decided that they wanted to form their own group. They had looked at a lot of different models of the DSOs and OSOs, which is a group that gets together and either you get purchased by them or whatever the model is. And so they wanted to create a different formula and a different model of success and what that looked like, of specialists. And most of these orthodontists have been friends for quite some time and just did not feel comfortable with the old model. So they created their own, and we helped launch that company through designing what they stood for, designing the formulas, designing their logo, their content, and then helping them launch in every way possible. So not only the website and their brochures and things like that, but through a really brilliant group of agency owners that I just joined last year, of Jason Swanks, and that's how I met you, Dr. Jeremy. And you just meet these really exceptional people. And so through that opportunity, I was able to meet a PR expert team who I brought in. We'll also be bringing social media experts in, things that I don't specialize in, but bringing together a group of people that are exceptional just has been one of the greatest, I feel, accomplishments. I have fun. I love what they do. I respect what they do. In fact, we plan to have you help with this group as well. And it's just been really a very rewarding and successful experience so far. And I think when you're not afraid to bring other people in, that synergy of success is really brilliant.
Julie, it's really an amazing journey. You have some fantastic stories. I really appreciate you sharing. I have one last question, which I'd love to hear. Any favorite resources, books, software that you have? But before we talk about that, I want to point people to turnerlee.com. They can learn more, check out more. And it's Turner and then lee.com. You can see some of their beautiful design and their work on that on the website. And you can check out more episodes of the podcast. But Julie, I'd love to hear some of your favorite resources. It could be books, it could be software, whatever you've enjoyed throughout the years that helped on your business journey.
Gosh, great question. I would have to say it doesn't really relate too much to business, but I also was on the board of an organization here called the SURF Foundation. It's a Sanford Underground Research Facility, and I'm on their foundation board. And we really try to understand science 2 miles underground. And the reason that we do that is because there's no cosmic rays there to interfere with science and the experiments that we're conducting. And so we're trying to figure out neutrinos, and we're doing a long base neutrino study where we're shooting neutrinos from the Fermi Lab in Chicago to Lead, South Dakota underground. And it's 800 miles. And that experiment that we're conducting, we hope to really figure out how neutrinos morph into their 3 different flavors. And what
are neutrinos, just for people?
Neutrinos are some of the smallest, most unknown particles. They make up the largest dark matter mass. So through these studies, we're hopefully being able to figure out dark matter and how it reacts and acts. And through those types of studies, we'll be able to produce better equipment, all kinds of different things, even including, kind of far out there, but even things like time travel and the universe. So that's a roundabout way of answering your question, but I'm just so taken by the universe and how it operates. And so I just find it fascinating. And so some of my favorite books are Gary Zukav of Seed of the Soul and Heart of the Soul, because he was a physicist as well. And he talks about how physics works with the universe, and even universally things that we don't understand right now. But I'm just so blessed to be a part of that world. It's a little out there in terms of the universe, but I love it. And I'm so blessed to learn about it. And I think that as we understand the universe, we understand humankind better, and nature, and the things that we just don't even think about on a daily basis. So I'm blessed to learn about that.
Is there any research that sticks out of what they've done currently that's interesting to you with the neutrinos? And by the way, when I look it up, Julie, I looked it up really quickly just to say, what is a neutrino in simple terms? I don't know if there is simple terms for neutrinos, but it does say are tiny subatomic particles, often called ghost particles, because they barely interact with anything else. However, neutrinos are the most common particle in the universe, believe it or not. Approximately 100 trillion neutrinos pass completely harmlessly through your body every second.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it is really, really crazy. And we when I explain it even to kids, I go around and talk about it as well. And that's what our team does. And we hold all these great scientific learning experiences in STEM education. And we're one of the largest STEM educators in South Dakota and the United States. So we teach children about what these WIMPs are. It's weak interacting molecular particles. And so they love calling them WIMPs, but they are ghost particles. And part of all of those particles make up dark matter. And so we're trying to understand how those particles morph through their different flavors. And that means like what we call decay. So they live on, but they transform into different decaying particles.
It is, I was looking at the SURF, which is the Sanford Underground Research Facility, and it says the deepest underground laboratory in the United States and among the deepest in the world. It's pretty interesting. It hosts experiments in physics, including dark matter and neutrinos. It's fascinating. Some of the lessons I've learned throughout my life, innovation comes from outside industry. So I love how you kind of talk about physics and what's going on here, because we could bring these into various aspects of marketing or business or wherever it is. So there's certain concepts I always think of, on a daily basis, because we're talking about streamlining, right? I always think of entropy. When I learned about entropy, that everything kind of goes to disorder. And so I'm like, okay, well, obviously what you do, I feel like you help combat entropy for companies in a way with streamlining the process, because it's going to go to disorder and randomness if it's not kind of kept under control. But yeah. Julie, I want to be the first one to thank you. Everyone should check out turnerlee.com, and we will see everyone next time. This has been fantastic. Thanks, Julie.
Thank you. Very blessed.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sailing right now. I'm feeling like $100 grand.